Welcome back to another edition of the 10 best PlayStation 4 game deals available right now. We haven't done a dedicated video looking at PlayStation 4 game deals, well, because there haven't been a ton of fantastic deals available. Some of the recent PlayStation Store sales have been on a smaller scale. I'm sure Sony is prepping up something big for the Black Friday PlayStation Store sale. They do that every year, so don't worry, the deals will ramp up. However, for those of you that like to buy your games physically, I got you covered in today's video, and I'm going to be taking a look at 10 great PS4 game deals available right now. Now, what's funny about these games is that there is a big Japanese presence on this list, so I want to go through the Western games first. Got 4 Western games to go over, and then we'll move on to all of the Japanese offerings. I know a lot of you guys aren't into Japanese games, so after the first 4 deals, those of you that aren't into Japanese games can just sign off, otherwise you can continue to watch the video. Without further ado, let's get right into it. Let's start off with a great deal on a pre-owned game available at GameFly. GameFly always has a good track record with their pre-owned titles, and Wolfenstein 2: The New Colossus is down to $12.99. Now, this is a game that got really cheap really quickly. However, it's not even a year old at this point, and it's a game that still regularly goes for at least $25. But here you can buy a used copy for just $13, which is a fantastic price for the game. I enjoyed Wolfenstein 2: The New Colossus seemingly more than most people. It seemed like a lot of people did enjoy the New Order a bit more, but I thought New Colossus was a great game. Got a little bit zany towards the end, but that's your typical Wolfenstein fare. If you want a quality single-player first-person shooter with some fast-paced and visceral action, Wolfenstein 2: The New Colossus is going to have you covered, and at this price, it's a great buy. Moving on from that, Injustice 2 is down $10 over at Best Buy. It is down to $19.99. Of course, if you do have your GCU subscription still, you'll get it for $15.99. They do also have the Injustice 2 Complete Edition down to $39.99, $32 with a GCU subscription, so if you want the entire experience, that might be a good buy. Otherwise, if you just want the base Injustice 2 game, which still has a sizable amount to do, $20 for the game definitely isn't bad, and Injustice 2 is actually a game with a pretty good single-player component as well, so if you want more of a casual fighting game experience, you want a fighting experience where there's still stuff to do if you don't want to get super good at it, Injustice 2 will have you covered, and at $20, I think it's a good buy. Moving on from that, over on Newegg, after a promo code, you can get Tom Clancy Rainbow Six Siege Advanced Edition for $24.99. Now, of course, this includes the Tom Clancy Rainbow Six Siege base game, but what else do you get with it? Well, you get 10 Outbreak Collection Packs, rare bonus content. Those are valued at $2.50 a pack, so $25 worth of value right there. You also get 600 Rainbow Six credits to unlock premium in-game content that's valued at $5. And then, of course, that's all on top of the base game, as I mentioned, so $25 for one of the best multiplayer experiences released this generation with some in-game content. I think that's a pretty good deal. Rainbow Six Siege is a game that continues to get better and better. That seems to be the new Ubisoft MO when it comes to multiplayer experiences, and they've really nailed that with Rainbow Six Siege. Again, $25 might seem a little bit steep considering this game was released all the way back in 2015, but considering how updated they've kept the game and the fact that it does include some bonus content, I would say this is well worth it. Lastly, as far as the non-Japanese game deals go, Pillars of Eternity Complete Edition is down to $19.99 over at Best Buy, $15.99 with a GCU subscription. This is a fantastic RPG. It's done by Obsidian Entertainment, and they have a fantastic track record with all of the games they've worked on. Fallout New Vegas, South Park The Stick of Truth, they worked on Pillars of Eternity 2, Tyranny. All of their games have hit an extremely high quality, and I would say Pillars of Eternity 1 is one of the best games they've put out. Now, I always have to preface when talking about Pillars of Eternity is the fact that this game is more centric towards a PC gamer. There's not a lot of voice acting in the game, but that will be remedied in Pillars of Eternity 2. It's a lot of reading, and sometimes the gameplay might feel a little bit slower paced. However, after you give it a little bit of time, Pillars of Eternity is a very absorbing experience, and it's a game you really can't put down, and given the fact that the base game already has a ton of content, this Complete Edition includes the White March Part 1 and 2 expansions. There is so much to do in Pillars of Eternity, the Complete Edition, and $20 for the game is a fantastic buy. Alright, so moving on from that, now we're gonna cover a lot of great deals on Japanese games, so if you're not into Japanese experiences, maybe now you'll want to sign off on the video. Otherwise, these are still some fantastic deals. First up, one of my personal favorites at Best Buy, we've got .hack GU Last Recode down to $20. This is a fantastic price for .hack GU Last Recode. This includes all 3 of the .hack GU games, as well as a smaller new 4th episode. Not as sizable as the main 3 games, but a nice little piece of bonus content, and this is one of the better collections that you're gonna come across. Originally, when these games were released, I always wasn't a big fan of the fact that this game was released as 3 separate games. Yes, they are 20-hour experiences each, but still a lot of the gameplay fundamentals carry over from game to game, and it's not like they completely change over with each episode. But now with this collection, you get the entirety of .hack GU with one buy, and the fact that it's down to $20, that is a fantastic price for this collection. Would highly recommend it. Next up, we have Final Fantasy 15 Royal Edition, which is available at Best Buy for $29.99, $23.99 if you are a GCU subscriber. This is a great deal on FF15 Royal Edition. I've always said that this is probably the version of the game that we should have gotten at launch. What you get with this version is the base game, of course, but then you get all of the Season Pass content, and on top of that, you get the sizable Royal Edition expansion as well, and of course, Final Fantasy 15 Comrades, the multiplayer expansion is in there as well. This is truly a complete JRPG experience with a lot to do. Now, this isn't the complete Final Fantasy 15 experience because we do know that another Season Pass is on the way that will be adding more DLC content. Safe to say that that DLC content will probably be introduced as a brand new Season Pass, so you won't be getting that with Royal Edition. If you've already waited this long, maybe the best route is to wait for Square Enix to release that Ultimate Final Fantasy 15 edition, because I'm sure that'll be coming after we get all of the content released. And then you can check out the game. Still, if you've been eager to play FF15, if you want to get all of the content that's available right now, $30 for this game is a great buy, considering you're getting so many hours of gameplay, and it's quality at that. Let's keep the Final Fantasy train rolling, but a different style of Final Fantasy experience with Dissidia Final Fantasy NT, which is down to a measly $19.99 over at Best Buy. That's $15.99 with your GCU subscription, and bear in mind that Dissidia Final Fantasy NT was just released earlier this year. Now, I will say, as a longtime fan of Dissidia, I love the games on the PlayStation Portable. This is without a doubt weaker than the 2 games that were released on the PSP, namely because this did originate as an arcade experience in Japan and then it was ported over to the PlayStation 4. You don't have that traditional single-player experience to really get invested into. So who would I recommend Dissidia Final Fantasy NT for? It's for those of you that are big fans of Final Fantasy, you just want a fun fighting game that you can play with friends, and you get that Final Fantasy skin over it. If you're really looking for an experience to get invested into, I don't think Dissidia Final Fantasy NT is going to offer you that, and that's why I said to stay away from this game at $59.99. Now that it's down to a third of its original price, I would say that this is the price to pick up Dissidia Final Fantasy NT for. Next up, another deal available at GameFly is Ni no Kuni 2 Revenant Kingdom, and that's available for $17.99, again a pre-owned copy. I've said before that I don't think it's quite as good as Ni no Kuni Wrath of the White Witch, but I hold that game in such high regard that that's not saying much about the quality of Ni no Kuni 2 Revenant Kingdom. Revenant Kingdom is still a great game. Some of the side content wasn't the best, but I would say the main game story was really good. The art style's still there, the presentation's excellent, the music's top-notch. And I always thought this about Ni no Kuni is that if you're not a big fan of Japanese RPGs, this is a really good one to get into. It's about a former king that's trying to reclaim his throne. It's a pretty emotional story. I think it's something that can resonate with just about anyone, not just people that are into JRPGs. That's why for $17.99, I would highly recommend you to give Ni no Kuni 2 Revenant Kingdom a look. Next up, let's go with a very recent game release. Dragon Quest XI Echoes of an Elusive Age is $10 off over at Amazon. It's down to $49.99, so not a steep discount on DQ11. But again, this game just released less than a month ago, in fact, and this is one of the best JRPGs of this generation. It's hard for me to say it's the best because there's one little game that I'll mention in a little bit. That game is so good that it's hard for a JRPG to compare with it, but I have to say DQ11 gets pretty freaking close. This is a very long experience. You're going to be spending 50 to 60 hours with it. A great story with what I have to say is one of the more likable casts that I've ever seen in a JRPG. Really a well-rounded game, and it stays true to the Dragon Quest roots. Unlike Square Enix's other JRPG property in Final Fantasy changes the formula up with every game. With Dragon Quest XI, it really does stay true to its roots, but at the same time, it's modernized enough where I think any gamer can really enjoy it, and even though it's not seeing a steep discount, $10 off on a great game is still $10 off, so I'd recommend it. And lastly, Persona 5 is down $30 to $29.99 over at Amazon. Persona 5 is one of those games that I think everybody has heard about at this point. Gamers have heralded it as the best PlayStation 4 game thus far. I think it's pretty much universally agreed upon that it's the best JRPG this generation so far, and I really don't see any other game coming close to it. Sorry, Kingdom Hearts 3, I don't think you're even gonna get to the Persona 5 level, and that's because Persona 5 is such a well-rounded game, even more so than DQ11, because there's a lot of variety in the gameplay, the characters are incredible, the storytelling is top-notch, and then you have the excellent presentation presentation with the great art style, the music, everything is done so well in Persona 5. And if you've yet to play it for some reason, $30 for it is fantastic. Yes, some might be surprised that it's still $30 considering it did release, what, almost 2 years ago at this point? It released back in early 2017, but there's a reason why it's held up in pricing. It is such a fantastic game and it is absolutely worth $30. So that's gonna conclude this video. Again, not a ton of fantastic deals available right now, but as we head closer to Black Friday, I'm sure the deals will ramp up and you guys are gonna see us cover all of the great deals. And when we roll into Black Friday, then it's gonna be completely over. There are gonna be so many deals for you guys to take advantage of. But for now, still some quality deals available, so make sure to take advantage of them. And that's gonna conclude this video. Sound off with all of your thoughts in the comments section down below. Thank you for watching, and goodbye.